So, but they were great to work with for that. And that's another thing of being able to work with somebody and a group, you know, like that. Shakertown was, or Shaker Village. We grew up with it, calling it Shakertown. It's like, I'm sorry, we still will.
Maybe the road signs say that.
Oh well, you know, some things never change around there.
Actually, it's the end. It's Shaker, Pleasant Hill.
Pleasant Hill, yes. There's just so many names.
Shakertown.
We call it Shakertown. But just working with them, and you know, just all the different aspects, the grounds and the people that was over that, and the electrical, and you know, 'cause we told them what we wanted. We wanted things in the barn, you know, and the, for those of you there, the event barn that we called it, it was like something
Meadowview
Barn. We got corrected later on. But, you know, this was just a tobacco barn before. We were the first big event held there in that, because they were expanding. They wanted to do bigger things. And when we came in and presented this idea to them at the beginning, they said, well, we haven't done this yet on this big a scale, but this is what we're wanting to go to. If you work with us, we'll try to work with you and see if we can put this together. You know, they were a little bit nervous at first. You know, it's just like, okay, hey, we're going to bring in 150, 160 people. So it all worked out, because this whole barn was housed tobacco probably the year before. And there was tobacco hanging in there. So, and now they've gotten the gravel down. Of course, they still have other plans, but like with everything, you know, state funding and whatnot, so they didn't get to do everything that they wanted. So we came in there and we ran our own lights. We hung our lights and did the sound, and it's like if we wanted lights to go out, I had to go over there to the main junction box and pull the plug. Okay, lights out. You know? So it's like we made do, and so we worked with what we had. You know, and some things, you know, we didn't have all this.
We worked with what we didn't have.
Yes.
We did that too. We brought in things they didn't have.
But that was the charm.
Yes.
True.
If all the music was acoustic, which is what they would have done.
I love that.
You
We
should.
did too.
Well, yeah.
But there
I was heard, but I loved it.
And, you know, just like some of the things, you work with what you have in putting anything together. JP has worked with, or Gandalf, whoever. He's been in the bands. He's done many years in bands and tearing up and setting down and moving here and moving there and setting up and all this kind of stuff. Myself, I've got 25 years of theater that I've worked with backstage. We started as a theater from scratch. So I know how, okay, we don't have lights, so coffee cans, floodlights, you know, stick them in, plug it in, it's like, please work. You know, so working from scratch like that. So we almost even did things like that for this one, because they didn't have lights in the barn. You know, there were no lights in the barn.
And we were trying to keep costs down.
Yes.
Yeah, we didn't even use the coffee cans. No, we didn't use coffee cans.
No.
Coffee would have been too expensive,
Yes.
but we found something cheaper.
Yeah, tinfoil. No. No, we jest a lot, but that's a part of it too, is you've got to have fun with the passion for it. Otherwise, we'd have been pulling each other's hair out.
Yeah, we wouldn't be here now.
Well, we pulled our own hair out.
Yes.
A few times. But with all that, there's things that you plan on. It's like, well, we're going to have this, we're going to have that. Okay, there's the logistics of how to put this in there and how to have that, and where do we get this so we can do that, and you know, it just really starts breaking down to the smallest of things to make the whole thing come out. And we found that, okay, we really couldn't do everything, and that's where we just kind of, it became family. And so many of you that did come, and so many others that were there, pitched in and did things too. And you became a part of it. You weren't just the spectator, and that's what we didn't want. Myself, after so many years of theater, I can't go to a show and sit down and watch it. I'm sitting there looking, see where the lights are coming from, where the spotlight is, and like who's in, where do they bring that prop out at? You know, I can't sit down and enjoy one, because I want to be part of it. I want to be on stage, behind stage, under the stage, over the stage, somewhere around that stage, closer than a seat. You know, And that's kind of what we wanted this. We wanted people involved. And I know people volunteer and help in bigger events like this, but in that one, you got down and dirty and got into it. And then go back, clean up, and then come back and we had the party. Oh my gosh.
Interrupting Tim for just a second, he talks about, planning things down to as much as we could and talking about but there's always things that happen, of course, that we didn't look for. Some, not as, some bad, some good. And, one of the better things that comes to mind is sitting here looking at Mark is what made me think about it, is this boy named David Giano, who is one of the boys that JP mentioned that helped us at the party. He and his friend Stephen, who we called Sam, walked around for 6 months with no shoes on to get ready to walk around completely barefoot all weekend at the village, and they did. They were out there at the barn on the gravel, complete with no shoes, and were dancing and having fun. But Mark was playing, and I do not remember what you were playing, but it had a pretty decent tempo. And David was standing over there dancing, and we kept telling him, just go out there and dance in front of people. And he finally did. He finally went out to a little platform that we had erected and just started dancing in circles around Mark. And Mark just started playing faster and faster, and he just kept going. He never stopped. And I didn't know which one of them was going to give out first. and that was one of the things one of the magical moments that, like you say, you don't plan on. And that's just as important to anything, is that you encourage, that kind of magic to happen. You don't want it to be stiff and boring and regulated all the time. You want things like that to be able to happen. And that was one of the more important aspects of the whole weekend, is stuff like that happened all weekend.
And so many of the things, too, were planned on the fly. We knew basically what was going to happen that night, but not exactly. Because we had several of our guests, like with Mark and the other bards that was with him then, our other guests that we had in, and we just kind of like, okay, we want to do this little impromptu thing after the dinner, so we just go up to them, different ones, Jeff Murray and Constance and Michael Drought and all those, and said, can you do this, or can you do this? And I was like, well, I wasn't prepared, but
you have 5 minutes.
You got 5 minutes. It's right after the costume contest, or the pageant.
Yes.
We didn't do a
contest.
contest.
We did a pageant.
We just wanted everybody to show off what they had. So I was like, and so many people I've noticed that when they said a contest, it's like, oh, this isn't good enough to be in a contest, And it's like, we didn't want that. We wanted a pageant. Get up there, show it off. Whether you bought it, you made it, you had somebody else to make it, whatever. This is what you're here, this is what you're doing. Get up and let everybody see it. And that's what we did. And everybody had more fun that way.
Yes.